Welcome back everyone, it's the TheNepKing here and welcome back to part 2 of my Neptunia Facts 101 series. If you haven't watched part 1, I'll leave that in the descriptions below. In this video, we will cover 5 additional topics that I have discovered and wanted to share with you guys like how I did in part 1. So without further ado, let's begin straight with the video. I hope you enjoy. Number 5. Hyperdimension Neptunia Mark II is the only mainline game that has the 3D visual novel cutscenes. If you play Hyperdimension Neptunia Mark II, not only you notice that it's the only game that is rated M for ESRB and 16 for PEGI, but it is also the only game in the franchise that has the 3D visual novel cutscenes. However, that has changed since 2020 as Neptunia Virtual Stars also has the 3D visual novel cutscenes. So that will mean that Hyperdimension Neptunia Mark II is the only mainline game that has the 3D visual novel cutscenes. However, on the remake version of this game, which is Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 2 Sisters Generation, doesn't use 3D for its visual novel cutscenes and instead follows the remake version cutscenes and character renders like what we have on Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1, which I honestly prefer over the 3D cutscenes as it looks more cleaner. Though, what I like about the 3D cutscenes is that there is a little more movement for the characters. Number 4. Neptune's name is hard for the characters to pronounce. If you play or watch my Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1 gameplay videos, chances are you would have noticed that the characters have a hard time pronouncing and mispronouncing Neptune's name. Do you wonder why it's like that? This is due to the fact that pronouncing the name Neptune is hard in Japanese, as different languages have different combinations of sounds due to phonotactics. Like pronouncing Neptunu, which is Neptune in Japanese, is actually tricky to pronounce, especially if you keep the T pronunciation. However, for the character Neptune in the franchise, her name in Japanese is pronounced as Neptunu, which is much easier to pronounce as I don't have the Y pronunciation and it's just the U pronunciation right after the T pronunciation. So there you have it, why Neptune is hard to pronounce, despite the fact they can pronounce Neptune, which has the Neptune right after the plant, which I find ironic. Number 3. There is a typo for Nepgear's name in Super Dimension Neptune vs Sega Heart Girls. If you have played Super Dimension Neptune vs Sega Heart Girls, after you've been given choices of which mission to complete, if you're doing a mission from the Game Gear era, which is called Help Nepgear, if you read the mission details carefully, you would have noticed that there's a typo of Nepgear's name in the condition section, which says let's help Nepgear. Honestly, sometimes I can even miss minor errors like this. However, since I'm used to seeing this name Nepgear, the error has caught me off guard. IF and Compa are actually childhood friends for the Hyperdimension. If you go to the character info section for IF on Hyperdimension Neptunia Mark II, she and Compa are actually both childhood friends. But that isn't the case for the Super Dimension. Why? Because this series actually has multiple dimensions of game industry, which are the Hyperdimension, Super Dimension, and Ultra Dimension. IF and Compa are childhood friends in the Hyperdimension where the Mark II and the rest of the mainline games take place. However, the original Hyperdimension Neptunia game and Rebirth 1 only takes place in the Super Dimension, which is a different world from the Hyperdimension. So, IF and Compa aren't childhood friends in the original game and RB1. Another way to prove this is if you play Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1, or have you watched my second episode of Hyperdimension Neptunia Rebirth 1, and when you meet up with IF, she introduces herself to Neptune and Compa, so as soon as you notice that dialogue, IF and Compa had just met each other when they were already teens compared to their Hyperdimension counterparts, where they have known each other since they were younger children, prior to the beginning of the story. And number 1, Dreamcast is blue for the European version of Super Dimension Neptune vs Sega Heart Girls. If you are working on your first mission from the Dreamcast era, the first characters you will find are Uzume and Dreamcast, whose personification is from Sega Dreamcast. Depending on where you're playing this game, if you are in Japan or in North America, her outfit is orange, while in Europe her outfit is blue instead of orange. And why is that the case? while in Europe, the Dreamcast logo is blue as this was done to avoid trademark issues with Tavola, who is based in Germany, who also uses the orange swirl in their logo. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you're looking forward to watching more Neptunia anime convention videos, or a part 3 for my Neptunia Facts 101 series, don't forget to subscribe and to share this video and channel to others who may also be interested in these topics. Bye everyone!